Hello, this video is to introduce you to the next project, which is I call Make the Change. This project is not going to be heavily writing based. It is going to be based on verbal communication, and it is our persuasive project for this unit. What I'm going to be asking you to do is give a presentation as if you're speaking to a boss in your or your supervisor at work about a change. About a change that you need to make and something you think that will help the environment of work. So what this could look like is whether it's a job you currently have or a job in the future. Think about some kind of problem they might have. As you can see, I've given you some examples: breaks length, employee morale, changing a procedure, better safety policy, change of a vendor, or change of a resource, etc. I've had students talk about we need to buy this piece of technology, or we need to shift to doing this, or shift to that. I'm leaving it up to you what change you think is necessary, as long as it's realistic and truly practical to what you're discussing. I'm going to have you brainstorm that idea, and then you're just going to start thinking about, okay, what is the topic? Why is that a problem? What I need to do to convince my boss to do something different. And this is where, as you can see, I've suggested that you create a Google document to put in any research you might have or get your ideas down. And in a second, I'm going to show you a sample outline of how you can approach it. I am requiring that you use a source. You can use multiple, but a minimum of one source to help support your argument as you go. And you're going to be talking for 2 to 4 minutes. I'm going to talk about the presentation in a second, but I want to finish going through the process. So brainstorm your ideas, think about what you want to change, why, and how to convince them. Who is this boss, and how do you appeal to them? How do you speak to them? And then practice. You really need to practice this. Yes, people can be capable of walking in and just off the cuff BSing their way through, but you normally want to do that with your boss, especially in something like this. And I am asking you to be persuasive. So since your grade is based off that, practice. That can be by yourself in front of a mirror. It can be in front of friends or family, however you want to do it, but do practice it. And that way you also know, are you close to your time limit? If I'm asking you to do 2 to 4 minutes, which is relatively short, at least if you're aiming for the 2 minutes, it'll let you know if you've reached that, because if you don't hit 2 minutes, you lose points. So practicing will let you pace it and feel more comfortable before you actually present it to us. So as you can see, I'm looking for 2 to 4 minutes, that it's persuasive about changing something in the workplace, whether it's your real workplace or a future workplace that you might encounter, and using at least one source to support yourself. This is the rubric I'll be using, so you can see I'm rating on a scale of 1 to 5. Remember that 3 means you're an average. You're middle of the road, which is not a bad thing. Being average is not bad, but that's what a 3 is. Above and beyond would get you to the 4 or 5. So I'm looking at both your content and your delivery. So even if you're a good speaker, if you come in with not a lot of content, it's still going to impact you, or vice versa. If you're really good at your content, but you're not comfortable speaking in front of people, that can help balance you out. So do you give us a quick background? Do you have your main points? Do you transition well? You're not jumpy? Are you using a source? Do you wrap it up in a way that lands it and leaves us with a call to action? Are you speaking professionally and using a lack of fillers? So that's like, and random pauses like that. The more you practice, the less you'll have those, because you're familiar with your content. Some can still happen, but you're going to have it happen less. Do you give credit for the information from your source? So not only do you have one, but do you give credit for it, and do you cite it in your speech? And I'll go over with you how to do that. And then, is your topic choice appropriate for the workplace, or does it make sense? If you're just going to say, I think you should give us all 20% pay raises, 20% is hefty. Where are we getting that number? So think about that kind of thing. In terms of your delivery, so how you speak, looking at eye contact. If you don't want to meet eye to eye like this, remember you can look at the top of someone's head, so about here, and it gives the illusion that you're looking at them without actually having to make eye contact. Are you speaking at a steady rate, so you're not too fast, but you're also not too slow? Do you have a lack of distracting mannerisms, which I know I move a lot when I talk, but when I'm giving a presentation like this, I do try to focus on keeping my body a little bit more still so I'm not a distraction. In terms of posture and pose, are you leaning on the platform? Are you shuffling and moving a lot? That kind of thing. You don't have to be a robot and be perfectly still, but like also be a little bit more professional, not overly casual, because again, in the professional world, there are times where you can be casual with our boss, but in a formal presentation like this, where you're trying to convince them to change something, you would want to be a little bit more formalized. And so then down here, you can see where I've talked about if you go under your 2 minutes, how many points you can lose, over 5 minutes, how many points you can lose. And then if we're presenting in class, this gives you like a rating from your peers. It doesn't impact your grade. It's just, I'm going to ask your peers, okay, if you were their boss, would you go along with them or not? Based off what they said, not based off they're your friend or whatever, based off what they said, are they convincing you as a boss? So here is my Make the Change sample outline. So this just walks you through how I would approach the speech, and I will share this with you. But you can see I've broken it down into introduction. So identify the problem. Why is it a problem? What's your solution? Here's my first reason for my solution. Here's my first piece of evidence for it. And give your support. Here's my second. Here's my third. And then conclude with, so yes, while X is currently a problem, here's how we can provide a solution and why it's better for us. How can we get this started? And then you'll just provide me the source information. And again, I want to teach you how to do that in class as well. So this is your next project that we're going to be working on, or Make the Change. You do have to do a presentation because that's part of our SLOs, but in class I'll explain to you how that will look.